Hi, welcome into today's CAD lesson. In today's exercise, we would model this gyroscope. This consists of just 5 parts. We have the part 1, which is the stand that provides the vertical support. It also has an outer ring on which we would build the inner ring and another ring. Also, it consists of a central sphere. Finally, we would assemble and animate just like you saw in the beginning of this tutorial. As usual, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, as well as contributions, you can drop them down in the comment section below. I would respond to them as soon as I can. Let's begin with today's exercise. We will begin by modeling the stand. I have Autodesk Inventor open. Let's get a worksheet. Do that by clicking on Ctrl plus N. Also, you can click on New App here. Under Part Create 2D and 3D Objects. This is a part actually. So we would go into that section and select the standard MMIPT under the metric template and create. Now let's begin by picking the 2D sketch command and create the sketch on the XY plane. We pick the circle command after that. Let's draw a circle from the origin. Let's keep the diameter at 100, and so I'll type that in here and press enter. Now double click the scroll mouse button to get your work in focus and pick the line command. Let's divide this circle into two. You can right click and then OK, but this line is not constrained. So let's constrain that by putting the coincident constraint to say that let's put the midpoint of this line on the origin. You can right click and then OK, and let's trim off half of this circle. Now let's pick the line command again. Let's draw a horizontal line from this point. This much is fine. You can right click OK. We will dimension that with a length of 10 and enter. Now let's pick the line command again. We will draw same on this side and say that make equal this line and this very one. You can right click and then OK. But for this line, we want to make it a center line, a constructional line actually. So let's select that line and make it a constructional line. Now let's offset, and so we pick the offset command. Let's offset this to a distance of 2 and enter that. Let's close up this profile, and so we connect this point to this point and then also this point to that point. You can right click OK to get off the line command. Now we'll finish this sketch and let's extrude. So the extrude command, the profile has been correctly selected. There is just one closed profile, and so Autodesk Inventor detects that and selects it automatically. Now for the behavior, we want that to be symmetric. The distance of this extrusion will change from 10 here to 20. Everything is fine. The preview looks good. Let's OK. Next, let's create some mounting holes. And so we'll select the plane, which is going to be the XZ plane. And let's create a sketch on that by selecting this command. Now let's pick the circle command. We'll draw a circle with this very point here as the center point. The diameter of the circle is 8. Let's enter that. You can right click OK, but we realize that we don't see the circle because it's hiding inside this feature we see here. Let's choose slice graphics so we see the circle. That is fine. Let's finish this and extrude cut this profile. And so the extrude command, the profile has been selected. The behavior, we want to change that to symmetric. The distance, we want to define it with this option that says through all. For the boolean, we want to remove material, and so a cut. The preview looks fine. Let's OK. Now let's apply a fillet, and so drop down the fillet options and choose the third one that says full round fillet. It says we should select the side A face. Let's pick this face to be the side A face, and then the center face, we can pick this face. And then for the side B face, let's turn this around and select this face. It would apply the fillets around this edge. Let's OK. We'll do same for the opposite side. And so full round fillet. We'll select the first face, the second face. Let's turn this around and select the third face. The fillet will be applied. Let's OK. Let me get the isometric view. Now let's create a support, and so we'll select this face, create a sketch. We want to maintain this hole. For that reason, let's use the project geometry command and project this hole, and also offset that to a distance of 1 mm and enter that. Now we'll finish this. Let's extrude the extrude command. We want to extrude this profile here so that we maintain the hole. The distance of the extrusion is going to be 50. We'll type that in here. The boolean is a join. The preview is exactly what we want, and so we can OK. Also, we'll select this face and create a sketch on there. Now let's pick the circle command. Let's draw a circle from the origin of diameter. Let's do 75. Let's see how that looks. Let's enter. I think 75 will be fine. Let's finish this and extrude that into the extrude command. The distance of extrusion we will do 20. Let's OK. Let's get the isometric view and apply some more fillets. And so the fillet command, drop this down and choose the fillet command, the first one. We want to apply a fillet of 15 to this edge, and would also do same to this edge. I think we should change this. Actually, we didn't change it to 15, so I'll type the 15 in here. This looks fine. Let's OK. This part is done. Let's save it, and so save up here. I have prepared a folder to save it in. There it is. I'm going to save this as the vertical support. Now we move on to the second part. We didn't change the appearance of this. You can go ahead and change it if you want. Now onto the second part. Let's open a new worksheet. So new up there, standard MMIPT, we would create. Now we'll pick the 2D sketch command and create this sketch on the XY plane. Let's pick the circle command, draw a circle with a center point from the origin. The diameter of this circle is 100. I'll type that in the dynamic input box and enter. You can right click OK to get all of the circle command, and double click your scroll mouse button to get your circle in full view. Now we will pick the line command. Let's draw a line here. The length of this line is going to be 15. I'll enter that in the dynamic input box and enter. You can right click OK. Let's make sure this line is vertical, and so just select the line and use the vertical constraint command. There we have it, vertical. Right, now let's right click OK. Let's trim off, and so trim command, we want to take off this whole part of the circle. We just needed this little arc here. Great. Next, what we want to do is to even delete this line. So just right click OK to get off the trim command. Let's select this line and we want to delete it. And then offset this arc we have here to a distance of 2. Let's enter that. Let's pick the line command. Let's connect this point to this point just to close it up. Also this point to this point. You can right click and then OK. Let's also apply a vertical constraint between the midpoint of this arc and the origin. That would fully constrain our sketch. You can right click OK. We want to revolve this profile here around so we can get the ring. That was the whole idea why we created the sketch. Let's finish it and revolve so you get a clearer picture. Now revolve command. The profile has been selected, but we want to go around the y-axis. And so for the axis, let's open the origin and pick the y-axis. There we have our preview, which is exactly what we want, and so we would OK. Now let's create some holes in here. So for that, let's create the holes on the XY plane. Let's create a sketch. We'll pick the circle command. Let's even slice so we see that plane. And now we can pick the circle command and draw a circle here of diameter 8 and enter. We would finish this. Let's extrude the extrude command. The direction, we want to keep that as symmetric. The distance, let's define it with a true or, so that our feature we are creating goes through the entire model. in the direction of the extrusion. The boolean will be a cut. We want to remove material. The preview is fine. We would OK. Next, we would create a little rod and extrude to this ring here, just so we can connect it to the stand. For that, we need to offset a plane. So drop down the plane options. Let's offset. We want to offset a plane to the YZ plane to a distance of 60. I'll type that and check. Now on this plane, I just introduced, let's create a sketch. The sketch is going to be a circle from the origin of diameter 8. Let's finish this and we want to extrude that little circle. The extrude command. The direction of extrusion is not what we want, but we would even just define the distance with this option here that says to next. So what we are saying is extrude up until you meet the next feature, which is going to be this ring. And so it has extruded in the opposite direction to the surface of that ring. The preview is fine. Let's OK. Let me turn off the visibility of this plane and mirror this feature on the opposite side. For that, let's choose the mirror command. The feature is going to be this little extrusion I just did. The plane I want to go across is going to be the YZ plane. There I have the preview. Let's OK. Now this part is done. I would save it and to save. Let's call this the ring A and save. The next part is going to be the ring B, which is similar to this ring A we just modeled, except for some few changes in dimension. So we want to create a copy of this file. For that, let's click on File and go into Save As and then select Save Copy As. Now we want to save this next copy we are creating as the ring B and save. Now let's open that ring B. So open up here. Let's locate the folder we are working in. Select the ring B and open. Right. Now there we have the ring B. We can see that here the ring A is also here. Let's open the ring B rather. Let's now click on the plus sign next to the revolution and double click that sketch. Okay, here we want to modify this dimension, and so just double click on it and let's make it 75 and enter. That is the only modification we want to make here, and finish this. We can see a reduction in the ring size. We also want to reduce the length of this extrusion we did. So let's even double click on the work plane, because that was the plane we created the sketch on for that extrusion. We want to reduce the offset distance of this plane. Let's change it from 60 to 50 and check. There we have our second ring, which is the ring B. Let's click on save one more time. Now let's create the ring C. Same procedure just like we did. Let's go into File. Let's go to Save As. Let's save Copy As. The copy is going to be called the ring C. So we are saving a copy of the ring B as ring C and save. Now let's open the ring C, and so open ring C. Now let's make the modification. So click on the plus sign next to the revolution. Let's double click on the sketch. This time we want to change the diameter of the circle to 50. Let's enter. Now this is it. Let's finish this. And also reduce the offset distance for this plane from 50 to, let's do 75 divided by 2. I'll type that in here. So Autodesk Inventor performs that calculation for me. Let's check. There we have our ring C. Let's save one last time. Let's go ahead and create the final part. For that, we would need a worksheet, and so let's click on New Standard MMIPT. Let's create. This part is the central sphere. Let's pick the 2D sketch command and create this on the XY plane. We pick the circle command. Let's draw a circle from the origin of diameter 25. Let's enter that. We will pick the line command. Let's divide this into two. Right click OK, so you get off the line command. But we want to constrain this line. So coincident, let's put the midpoint of this line on the origin and trim off half of this circle. Now we would finish this, we would revolve to get the sphere. And so the revolve command, the profile is selected, the axis we want the revolution to go around, we would use this line and hit OK. There we have our sphere. Let's create the rods for mounting it. For that, let's offset a plane to, let's see, open up the planes. Let's pick the YZ plane. The offset distance for this, let's do 75 divided by 3 and check that. Now on this plane, we would create a sketch. Let's draw a circle from the origin of diameter 8. Let's enter that. Now we would finish this. Let's extrude. The extrude command. Now we want to define the distance of this extrusion with this option here that says to next. So it extrudes up until it meets the model. Now we would OK. Let's right click and turn off the visibility of this plane. Now we want to mirror this on the opposite side. The mirror command. The feature is going to be this extrusion we did the mirror plane. We want to go across the YZ plane. Let's OK. That is it for this part. Let's save it also as the central sphere. Now all our parts are ready. A quick recap. We have the vertical support. We have the ring A, ring B, ring C, and the central sphere. Let's begin to assemble. To assemble, we need an assembly sheet template. Let's get that. So new up here, this time under assembly, assemble 2D and 3D components. Let's select the standard MMIEM assembly template and create. I usually like to change the view here to shaded with edges. And so click on view tab, go into visual style. Let's choose shaded with edges. Now let's go back to the assembly tab. Let's bring in our first part into place. The first part is going to be the vertical support. I'll select that and open. Don't click to place, but rather right click and choose place grounded at origin. So there you have it constrained to the origin. Right click and then OK. Now we see we are unable to move this part. Let's bring in another part place. The other part we want to bring is the ring A. Let's open that. We want to click to drop that here. Let's right click and then OK. Let's constrain this ring to the stand. So constrain, we want to constrain concentrically this to that. Let's hit apply. And also we want to constrain concentrically this to this hole. Let's choose the second option here that says align and apply. Oh, what happened here? I think we made a little bit of mistake with our dimensioning. We can fix that. So go back into the vertical support. Let's go into the first sketch, which is under the extrusion. And so double click on this. And we want to change this from 100 to 120. Let's enter that and finish this. Now this should solve our problem. Let's go back into the assembly. Great, so there we have it, neatly done. We can bring in the third part, which is the ring B. So place, let's select the ring B and open. We want to drop that here. Let's right click OK because we need just one. We would constrain. Let's select for the selection 1 this face. For selection 2 we would select this face. Let's apply and then we want to also constrain concentrically this to this hole. Let's apply. There we have it and let's close this. So let's drive this and see. Okay, great. Now we can bring in another part into place. Let's bring in the ring C. Let's open and drop this here. Right click OK, same constraints. The constraints command, we want to constrain this face with this one, apply, and then we want to also constrain this rod to this hole. Let's apply and close this. Let's bring in the last part, which is the central sphere place. Let's select that and open. I'll drop that here. Right click OK. Since we need just one, let's constrain this to that. We would apply, and also we would constrain concentrically this rod to this hole. Let's apply, and we would close this. Now let's see what we have. We should be able to drive this, okay, as well as these as well. Each one of the parts should be able to turn around. Great. The reason why I didn't bother applying appearance is because under view I can choose this option that says display separate colors for each part, and there we go, all our parts would have different colors. I think this is in Inventor 2025. I'm not sure of 2024, so just have that in mind. Now let's apply a shadow. We would apply our reflection and a ground plane. Also, for the lightning effect, we would maintain the default light. Now we are ready to drive. Let me even right click inside here, the model browser, and choose collapse all so I get it clean. Now what I want to do is to apply the final constraint, and so constraint command, the type this time is going to be the angle. The solution will be directed angle, and I want to put that between this support and the first ring. So let's open up the planes of those two and apply the constraint between the YZ plane of the vertical support, and also let's do the XY plane of the ring A. We can also do XZ, but let's do XY plane and apply. Let's close this. That would put an angle here. This is the latest constraint we put. You can also just click on relationships and you will find that angle here. These are all the relationships we've applied to our assembly. Now for this angle, just click on it, right click and choose drive. We want to drive that to start at 0 degrees. We want that to end at 3600. So we want to do about 10 complete revolutions. Let's hit play. Okay, but this is really moving slow, which is not what we want. And so just click on these arrows here and let's change the amount value, which is 1 degrees. We want to do 5. Okay, that is going to move a bit faster. Let's hit OK, or even let's watch that revolution and change this to 10 for a faster motion. Let's reverse that. Okay, we can also play with this option here that says repetition. So we want it to start, end, and then start, and we want to do that twice. Let's play one last time. Once the position reads to 3600, it would start again because we said it should start, end, and start. There you have it. All right, that is it for today's tutorial. I hope you find this helpful. If you do, please consider subscribing to this channel if you're yet to do that. Also do well to give this video a thumbs up. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or contributions, you can drop them down in the comment section. I will respond to them as soon as possible. Don't forget to share this with your card friends and also save this. I'll see you soon in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching. Bye.